Hello and welcome back to Kim Reads as we continue with Wicked, Chapter 5 of the one part of In the Vinkus. Ice-crusted roofs, dislodged tiles, and dripped dirtily into the private chambers, the music rooms, the towers. Elphaba took to wearing her hat indoors to avoid any icy dart on her scalp. The crows were mildewy around the beak and had algae between the claws. The sisters finished their novel and collectively sighed, for life, and began to read again. So they had done for 8 years. In the fierce updraft of the valley, the snow seemed as often as rising as falling. The children adored it. One glum afternoon, Sarima bedecked herself in red woolen wraps and out of boredom went through the mussy, disused rooms. She located a staircase in the trapezoidal slanting shaft. Perhaps the high alcove leaned against the side of the gable you could see. She wasn't good at imagining architecture in 3 dimensions. She mounted the stairs anyway. At the top, through a crude gillwork, she saw a figure in the white gloom. Sarima coughed so as to not startle her. Elphaba was bent almost doubled over a huge folio laid on the carpenter's workbench. She turned, surprised but not very, and said, "We've had the same inclination. How curious." "You found some books I've completely forgotten," said Sarima. She could read now, but not well, and books made her feel inferior. "I couldn't tell you what they were all about. So many words, you'd hardly think you've deserved such scrutiny." "Over here is archaic geography," said Elfie, "and some records of use for packs among the various family of the Archiki. I bet there are leaders who would be happy to see these, unless they're outdated. Some texts that Fiero had in shits. I recognize them too, the life sciences course of studies. And this big thing, purple pages and silver ink, how grand. I found on the floor of the wardrobe. It seems to be a Grimmerie," Elfie said, running the hands around the page, only sack buckled with moisture. It made a pretty contrast, her hand on the vellum. "What's that besides beautiful?" "As I understand it," Elfie said, "a sort of encyclopedia of things numinous, magic, and of the spirit world, and of things seen and unseen, and of things once and future. I can only make a line here or there. Look how much it scrambles at itself as you watch." She pointed to a paragraph of hand-letter text. Sarima peered. Though her skill reading was minimal, she gasped at what she saw. The letters floating, arranging themselves on the page, as if enlivened. The page was changing its mind as she watched it. The letters clouded together in the big black snarl, like a mound of ants. Then Elphaba turned a page. "Here, this section is a book of beasts." There were elegant, annotated drawings in blood and red gold leaf. On the front, and revelations of, it seemed, an angel, with notes in fine on aerodynamic aspects of loneliness. The wings flexed up and down, and the angel smiled in a saucy sort of sanity. And a recipe on this page, it says, "Of apples with black skin and white flesh, to fill the stomach with greed until death." "I remember this book now," Sarima said. "I do remember how it came here. I even put it up myself. I've forgotten. Well, books are so easy to set aside, aren't they?" Elfie looked up, her eyes living out underneath smooth rock-like brow. "Tell me, Sarima, please." The Dowager Princess of Kiamiko was flustered. She went to a small window and tried to open it, but incrustations of ice prevented her. So she sat down in a flump on a packing crate and told Elphaba the story. She couldn't remember exactly when, but it was a long time ago, when everyone was young and slim. Beloved Fiera was still alive, but he was off in the grasslands of the tribe. Complaining of a headache, she was home in the castle all alone. The bell of the drawbridge sounded, and she wanted to see who it was. "Madame Morrible," Elphaba said. "Some Cumbric rich or other." "No, it was no madam. It was an elderly man in a white tunic and leggings, with a cloak badly in need of attention by a seamstress. He said he was a sorcerer, but perhaps he was just mad. He asked for a meal and a bath, which he got, and then he said I wanted to pay by giving me this book. I told him, with the castle to run, I didn't have much time for frivolity, reading and such. He said never mind. Sarima drew her wardrobes about her and traced a pattern in the old dust on the nearby stack of codexes. He told me a fabulous tale and persuaded me to take this thing from him. He said it was a book of knowledge, and that it belonged in another world, but it wasn't safe here, so he brought it here, where it could be hidden and out of harm's way. What a load of tripe, said Elfie. If it came from another world, I shouldn't be able to read any of it, and I can make out a little. Even if it's as magic as he said Sarima. But as you know, I believed him. He said there was more congress between worlds than anyone without credit, and our world has attributes of his, and his of ours, a kind of leakage effect, or an infection maybe. He had a long, fringy, white and gray beard, in a very kind and abstracted manner. He smelled of garlic and sour cream, indisputable proof of otherworldliness. Don't mock me, said Sarima blandly. You asked me, so I'm telling you. He said it was too powerful to be destroyed, but threatening to the other place to be preserved. So he made a magic trick or something and came here. Kiyomiko called him, and he couldn't resist her attractions. He said we were isolated in a stronghold, said Sarima, and I couldn't disagree. What would it mean to take another book? We just lugged it up here and put it to rest. I don't even know if I could tell anyone about it. Then he blessed me and left. He walked with a oakthorn staff over Lochline Hill. Can you really say you thought the man who brought this here was a sorcerer? Said Elfie. And this book this come from? Another world? Do you even believe in other worlds? I find it a great effort to believe in this one, said Sarima. Yet it seems to be here. So why should I trust my skepticism about other worlds? Don't you believe? I tried to, as a child, said Elphaba. I made an effort. The mothy, gormless, indestructive sunrise of salvation world, the other land. I couldn't get it. I couldn't focus. Now I just think it's our lives that are hidden from us. The mystery, who is that person in the mirror? That's shocking and uncomfortable and unfathomable enough for me. Well, he was a nice sorcerer or madman or whatever. Maybe it was some loyal agent loyal to the Ozma region, said Elfie, secreting some ancient Lurlenish tract here, anticipating a revival of royalists, a palace coup, worried about being kidnapped, sleep-charmed Ozma Tipperus, coming in disguise to hide this document away, but still retrievable. You are full of conspiracy theories, said Sarima. I know this about you. I was an elderly gentleman, very elderly, and he spoke with an accent. He surely was a wandering magician from some other place, and he hasn't been here all right. The thing that sat here forgotten for 10 years or more already. May I take a look at it? I don't care. He never said not to read it, said Sarima. At the time, perhaps I couldn't read it all. I forget. But look at the beautiful angel there. Do you really mean to say you don't believe in the other land? In an afterlife? Just what we need, Elphaba snorted as she picked up the tome. A post, veil of tears, veil of tears. And that's the end of that chapter. I will see you later.